Yo guys, what's up and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to make crazy piano beats from scratch in the style of Lil Baby and Lil Durk. So first I'm going to show you all the sample, then I'm going to break it down and show you how I mixed it. And after that I'm going to show you how I made a crazy beat to it. And I know I did a Lil Baby sample breakdown last week, but this sample is too crazy not to break it down. So yeah, make sure to stay till the end because the beat I made with the sample is crazy. And this whole sample is just perfect for Lil Baby. So make sure to subscribe to my channel and to leave a like on this video. And make sure to comment something cool because I'm going to give away 5 loops to a bunch of people that commented under this video. Make sure to follow my socials, the links for that will be in my description. And yeah guys, let's go. So I started off with Falcon and the keys you bang with the BG Mellow Dark preset. It's a piano which sounds pretty cool. And I laid down this pattern which is pretty simple and pretty repetitive. I laid down this pretty simple MIDI and then just copied it over and copied it over again. And then I copied it over again. But I pitched it up by 7 semitones I think. And I played with the velocities just to make it sound more realistic. And I played with the strum as y'all can see right here just to make it sound more realistic as well. And this is how the finished piano pattern is sounding like. And for the effects on this piano, I had this fully parametric EQ where I just cut out some of the frequencies that I didn't like. Then this RC20 for the noise, the wobble, the magnetic and the EQ. This Valhalla vintage verb where I tweaked the mix, the decay and the low cut. Then this soothe just to get rid of all the unwanted frequencies again. And then this EQ just to cut out some of the lows, just let the bass don't clash with the piano. And that's basically it for the effects on the piano. Then for the next thing I use splice and I use this violin phrase, violin loop. And I just pitch it down by 1 just to bring it in key. And after that I just rendered it out and this is how the finished violin loop is sounding like. Then for the effects on this violin, I had this EQ just to get rid of all the frequencies that I didn't like. Then I had this RC20 just for the wobble and the EQ. Then this Valhalla vintage verb for the mix and the decay. This soothe just to get rid of all the unwanted and unnecessary frequencies. And then this EQ where I cut out one frequency that I didn't like and just to cut the lows and the low mids. Then for the second part of the sample, I had this choir which is from Splice again. It's called Choir Breath Away Epic Dry. And it sounds crazy with the sample together. And this choir alone sounds like this. And for the effects on the choir, I had this fully parametric EQ where I cut a lot of the lows and some of the highs. Then this fully reverb where I tweaked the bass, the decay, the wet and the stereo separation. Then this soothe just to get rid of all the unwanted frequencies. And then this EQ just to get rid of some of the frequencies that soothe couldn't get rid of. And yeah, that's basically it for the vocal. Then for the third part of the sample, I had Falcon with the waltz tube bang and the Turkish lira velocity preset. And this is the pattern I laid down. It's pretty simple and it sounds like this. Then for the effects on this violin, I had this RC20 for the wobble and the EQ. This Valhalla vintage verb where I tweaked the mix and the decay. And then this EQ where I cut out a lot of the lows and some of the highs. Then for the next thing, I had this bell tree from one of Al-Haq's kids. And it's basically just there to give the whole sample more texture and to give it some background ambience. And it works pretty well. And this bell tree is sounding like this. And for the effects on this bell tree, I had this halftime with these settings, then this shaper box with these settings, this fully reverb where I tweaked the mix and the stereo separation, this EQ which looks pretty weird but it's basically just there to duck it fully into the background, and then this soothe on the hard setting just to get rid of all the unwanted and unnecessary frequencies. And this FX chain makes a big difference because this is the bell tree without effects. And this is the bell tree with effects. Then for the next thing I had another sound just for the ambience, which is basically this pattern which I showed y'all, but with a portal preset which I sadly don't know anymore, but it sounds like this. And for the effects on this ambient sound, I just had this EQ, I panned it 19% to the right, and I put it 19% in mono. Then for the next thing, which is the bass, I had Falcon again with the Brazil electric bass preset, and this is how it looks like. And this is the pattern I laid down, which is pretty simple, as you can see. It's just the root notes from the piano. I played with the velocities just to make it sound more realistic and to give it more variety. And this is how the finished bass line is sounding like. Then after that I rendered the sample out, put the mode on stretch, the declicking mode on generic, put it on a 8 mixer track, and for the effects on this mixer or mastering track, I put this EQ just to get rid of all the harsh and unnecessary frequencies. This sound shift the pitch stereo from waves where I pitched it up by 1, and then this EQ where I just cut out the muddy lows, and this is how the finished sample is sounding like. So now I just finished making the beat, and the first thing I did was obviously dragging in the sample, and I put it on mixer track 1 where I had this low cut on it just because I don't want the sample and the piano and the bass to clash with the 808. And the first thing I did for the beat was laying down this pretty simple hi-hat pattern. It's a pretty bouncy hi-hat pattern again, as in the last video, and I had a few rolls right here and there, and the finished hi-hat pattern is sounding like this. Then for the next thing I had this Empire clap out of my stash kit, and I laid down this pretty simple and basic clap pattern which sounds like this. Then after I laid down this clap pattern, I had this Jacob snare out of my stash kit again, and I laid down this pretty simple and repetitive pattern. I had this pattern for these 4 bars and then just copied it over, and the snare pattern with the clap and the hi-hat is sounding like this. Then for the next thing I had this nasty openhat, and I just had this simple and basic openhat pattern on the 1, 3, 5 and 7, and it sounds like this. Then for the 808 I laid down this pretty simple pattern. I just played with the velocities right here and right there, just to give it more variety. I had a few rolls right here and there, and the finished 808 pattern with the full beat is sounding like this. So yeah guys, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel. Please make sure to comment something that y'all wanna see next. As I said, I will send a pack of loops to a bunch of people that comment. Thank you for this crazy support, we just hit 1.5k. Make sure to follow my socials, the links for that will be in my description. And yeah guys, see y'all.